When I first heard about the acoustic properties of ancient cathedral bells, I expected the usual explanations. Religious ceremonies, community gatherings, timekeeping functions, nothing unusual, nothing mysterious. But the deeper I researched the engineering specifications of these massive bronze installations, the more the official records stopped adding up. Because between 1200 and 1600, something extraordinary was happening in bell towers across Europe and beyond, and historians still present it as completely normal, even though the evidence suggests these weren't just instruments for worship. Across dozens of major cities, from Prague to Paris, from Moscow to Milan, the same pattern emerges. Bell towers constructed with acoustic chambers far more complex than simple sound amplification required. Not basic resonance spaces, not crude echo chambers, not straightforward architectural features, but precisely engineered cavities designed to manipulate sound waves in ways that medieval builders supposedly never understood. The official explanations remained consistent. Churches needed louder bells. Communities required better timekeeping. Religious ceremonies demanded grander audio experiences. Standard medieval engineering practices. But when you examine these structures tower by tower, city by city, the explanations crumble under scrutiny. These were not random improvements to religious architecture, they were systematic installations of what can only be described as acoustic technology, and they appeared everywhere within roughly the same historical window. What initially caught my attention was a series of engineering drawings from the restoration of Notre Dame's bell chamber in the 1840s. Every diagram revealed the same peculiar details: sound channels carved into stone walls with mathematical precision, resonance chambers positioned at specific angles that had nothing to do with projecting bells across the city, acoustic tunnels extending deep into the tower foundations, far beyond what any known religious function required. Workers described discovering hollow spaces within the masonry itself, voids that seemed designed to capture and redirect sound waves rather than simply amplify them. As I expanded my research to examine bell towers in Vienna, Barcelona, Florence, Cologne, and Prague, the consistency became impossible to ignore. Every one of these structures contained acoustic features that exceeded the requirements of their supposed purpose. Everyone incorporated sound manipulation technology disguised as religious architecture. And in every case, the most advanced acoustic chambers were buried deepest within the tower foundations, hidden from casual observation. But here's the detail that mainstream historians consistently overlook. The acoustic engineering often appears more sophisticated than the visible bell installation above it. Resonance chambers calculated with precision that medieval mathematics wasn't supposed to achieve. Sound channels carved with tolerances too exact for the tools of the period. Foundation spaces designed to handle frequencies far beyond what bronze bells could produce. This raises a critical question that no architectural historian has adequately addressed. Why were medieval builders installing acoustic systems capable of manipulating sound waves in ways that their bronze bells could never utilize? Why did these towers require resonance chambers designed for frequencies that church bells don't generate? And why were the most advanced acoustic features always hidden within the structural foundations? The contradictions led me deeper into monastery records, guild documents, and early acoustic treatises. And that's where a phrase kept appearing, quietly mentioned in technical discussions about sound projection and wave manipulation: harmonic weaponry. Not in the dramatic way modern conspiracy theorists discuss it, but subtle references to sound-based defensive systems, acoustic installations capable of disorienting attackers, resonance chambers designed to project specific frequencies across considerable distances. In other words, these bell towers may have contained technology that had nothing to do with religious ceremonies and everything to do with acoustic warfare, which leads to an uncomfortable possibility. The massive bell towers weren't built primarily for worship. They were built as acoustic weapons platforms. The so-called religious installations may have been cover stories for what were essentially sound-based defense systems. Massive coordinated construction projects across continents, across centuries, all designed to project specific frequencies that could affect human behavior, disorient approaching armies, or create psychological effects across entire regions. Right when Tartarian-style architecture begins incorporating these mysterious acoustic chambers, before traditional bell-ringing practices become standardized. If you want more investigations into the hidden technology that mainstream history refuses to examine, make sure you're subscribed. It supports the channel and tells me you're ready for the complete analysis. Thank you. Now, as I continue tracing the acoustic specifications of these installations, one question keeps surfacing. Were these towers really designed for religious purposes? Or were they concealing something far more sophisticated? Because when you study the resonance calculations, the frequency ranges, and the acoustic chamber layouts, many of these installations match the exact specifications found in what researchers call harmonic manipulation technology. Technology that appears more advanced than medieval engineering should have achieved, yet strangely uniform across continents that supposedly never shared acoustic knowledge. Which brings us to the central investigation of this analysis. Operation Resonance, the medieval period systematic installation of acoustic manipulation systems disguised as religious architecture. Systems that appear designed to harness sound as a weapon rather than simply call people to prayer. When I move deeper into the technical specifications, cross-referencing acoustic chamber dimensions, frequency calculations, and resonance patterns documented in restoration records, one thing became undeniable. The bell tower installations of 1200 to 1600 weren't random architectural choices, and they weren't isolated religious improvements. These towers were responding to something much more coordinated, something hidden, something they weren't allowed to openly acknowledge. Because once you compare these acoustic installations side by side, a disturbing alignment emerges. Prague, Paris, Moscow, Milan, Vienna, Barcelona, Florence, different kingdoms, different climates, different political systems, yet the same acoustic technology repeats with mathematical precision. Identical resonance chamber ratios appearing in towers built centuries apart. Frequency specifications matching across continents that supposedly never shared engineering knowledge. Harmonic calculations too advanced for their supposed builders, yet perfectly consistent between structures separated by thousands of miles. And this is where the official narrative becomes impossible to maintain, because if a single tower incorporates unusual acoustic features, that's architectural innovation. If two towers share similar sound chambers, that's cultural exchange. But dozens of towers across continents exhibiting identical frequency ranges, identical resonance calculations, identical acoustic weaponization potential, that's not coincidence, that's coordination. And it forced me towards something I didn't expect to confront so directly in this research: the Tartarian acoustic connection. Not the exaggerated internet theories, not the sensationalized claims, but the engineering consistency. Because the bell towers containing the most advanced acoustic systems share unmistakable characteristics. Harmonic chambers calculated with precision beyond medieval capabilities. Frequency ranges designed for effects far beyond religious ceremonies. Resonance systems capable of projecting specific sound waves across entire city districts. And acoustic layouts that match structures attributed to the lost civilization. To historians, these are simply impressive examples of medieval engineering. But medieval engineering doesn't explain acoustic chambers designed to generate infrasound frequencies. It doesn't explain resonance calculations that require mathematical knowledge supposedly lost for centuries. And it does not explain why the most sophisticated acoustic systems are always hidden within the tower foundations, concealed from public view. At this point, two possibilities remained. Either medieval builders across continents independently developed identical acoustic weapon technology within the same historical period, or they were installing systems inherited from a previous civilization whose sound manipulation capabilities far exceeded anything the medieval world openly acknowledged. The deeper I researched, the more the second option started making perfect sense. Tower architects in the 1300s repeatedly complained about discovering unexpectedly complex acoustic chambers during construction. Some records describe finding resonance spaces that extended far deeper than the building plans indicated. Guild documents occasionally mention ancient harmonic calculations discovered within existing foundations. Most of these references are brief, technical notes, and they're never elaborated upon again. almost as if they weren't supposed to be documented at all. And then there's the strangest pattern of all. The acoustic systems were never fully activated. Engineers installed resonance chambers capable of generating devastating frequency ranges, but the bells placed above them could never utilize that potential. Why build acoustic weapon platforms if the sound sources installed within them were completely inadequate for the task? Why create harmonic manipulation systems and then fill them with traditional bronze bells that couldn't access their designed frequency ranges? The answer appears in the careful silence of those technical documents, because fully activating these acoustic systems risked exposing their true purpose, something that didn't align with the religious cover story. And that brings us back to Tartaria, not as a mythical empire, but as a suppressed technological period whose acoustic innovations appear everywhere these bell towers were constructed. Structures in Prague, Moscow, Paris, Vienna, Barcelona, Florence, all containing what alternative researchers call harmonic warfare signatures. The frequency calculations, the resonance mathematics, the acoustic precision, the sound manipulation capabilities. These features don't align with medieval knowledge or religious requirements, but they do align with each other, even across continents that supposedly never shared acoustic technology. As I continued studying the restoration records, one more detail emerged that changed everything. Every time workers uncovered the deepest acoustic chambers within these towers and exposed their true capabilities, the immediate response was always identical. Chambers sealed, resonance spaces filled with stone, frequency calculations removed from official records, and acoustic systems permanently disabled. In other words, the moment the true purpose of these installations was discovered, they were immediately neutralized. This was not preservation, it was suppression, a deliberate effort to ensure these acoustic weapons could never be reactivated. And the deeper we examine the deactivation records, the more systematic this suppression begins to appear. By the time I reached the final restoration documents from the 1800s, something became absolutely clear. These bell towers weren't just deactivated randomly. They were systematically silenced as part of a coordinated effort to erase acoustic weapon technology from the architectural record. And this suppression happened right when the last remnants of old world engineering were being documented and then quietly buried. Across dozens of cities, the sequence remains identical. Advanced acoustic chambers discovered during restoration work, brief documentation of their sophisticated capabilities, immediate orders to seal the resonant spaces, official records edited to remove references to harmonic weaponry, the technology neutralized and forgotten. It was as if the entire European continent entered the same acoustic disarmament phase simultaneously. The evidence points to an unavoidable conclusion. The bell towers of medieval Europe were not built as religious architecture with impressive acoustic properties. They were inherited acoustic weapon platforms, repurposed and disguised as places of worship, their true capabilities hidden beneath bronze bells that could never access their designed frequency ranges. A global network of harmonic manipulation systems left behind by a civilization whose sound-based technology we're only now beginning to understand. So the next time you hear church bells ringing across a European city, remember that you're listening to the echoes of something far more sophisticated, something that was deliberately silenced centuries ago, something that suggests our ancestors possessed acoustic knowledge we've completely forgotten. The bells still ring, but their true voice has been muted. The question that remains is simple. What else did we inherit that we were never meant to discover?